How about a little Warriors Weekly on Wednesday, April 9th? We're here on Damon Bruce. Plus, we're over on Golden Days. That is our friend Cyrus doing the Home Alone pose. And it is really good to see everybody. Welcome on back. Please like and subscribe across both channels, if you will. And in the final 4 games remaining in this season, the Warriors are 1-0 with a win last night over an absolute dog Phoenix Suns team that everybody should be fired. I mean, good God, what a prideless group of pansies the Phoenix Suns appear to be. But we're not here to talk about the Phoenix Suns, Cyrus. We're here to talk about the Warriors. And, man, I'm telling you, they're pointed in the right direction in the most important time of the year for a team to be pointed in the right direction. So I like what I'm seeing. I like their chances. I want this season to come to an end, and I want the playoffs to start. Here we go.
Damon, I'm going to come to you today because I need some. I don't know if you're the right person for this, and I'll let you decide that. Okay. I need some positive energy in my direction.
Oh, you need me to be your sunshine?
Well, I need some. I might need some perspective. I might need some. I just need something to brighten the mood because on one hand, yeah, dude, the regular season ends Sunday. As of right now, we have no idea what's going to happen. The Warriors could finish the 4 seed. They could still even finish the 3 seed. As crazy as that sounds, still a possibility, although unlikely. But they could also even finish as a play-in team. That's also a possibility. And they're looking good. I'm not going to lie. They're looking damn good. But that Rockets game Sunday put me in such a bad mood. I'm losing. I've lost probably 10 to 20 followers. This is just, I'm just negative. I'm exuding toxic energy right now. And I need your help to turn things around because that game soured me, brother. And it soured me for one simple reason. We saw this triumvirate, this trio of players that I never want to see again. And last night did not mask or in any way deviate my feelings about this. That if Steve Kerr reverts to this bullshit again in the postseason, this is why I'm so afraid of Steph, Podziemski, GP2. If 3/5 of your lineup out there is 6'3" average height, you ain't doing a damn thing in the postseason. And we saw that Sunday after 3 straight games where GP2 wasn't playing, and the mojo was great. You had wins over the Grizzlies, the Lakers, the Nuggets, and GP2 wasn't a part of that. Moody, Kuminga, Post, Guy Santos were. Quinn Post was ill last night. He did not play. The other 3 did, and we saw a huge blowout game. GP2 was out because of injury, which is why I'm not feeling that much better today because I didn't see Steve Kerr make the necessary adjustment because he didn't have to. I'm really worried about this, Damon.
All right. Well, let me just first, I guess people want to know that they're not alone in this world, right? And Cyrus, you are not alone in this world. Our very first super chat of the day comes from Robert Last. Last says, I know we'll win tonight, but I'm still mad about the loss to the Rockets.
Yeah.
I'll tell you.
That's crazy.
That was a bad loss to the Rockets. A tad predictable, though. Just a scotch predictable. They had just come off that huge win over the Nuggets, which obviously didn't help Mike Malone's resume. We'll get to that in just a little bit.
Yeah, that's
they get a big win over the Lakers, big win over the Nuggets. Absolutely, like a letdown game was just right there against Houston. I also want to give Houston some credit here.
Oh yeah.
They're better than I thought they were, Cyrus. Like I am the Shaquille O'Neal. Like I was not familiar with your game meme right now. When I look at the Rockets, they got some players, man. They got some players, and their decision to buy into what their head coach was selling and play some of the best man-to-man defense against Steph Curry I have seen any team play. They bottled Curry up to the point where we had 3 points in that game. Look, the Warriors are going to lose a lot of games where Steph Curry is held to 3 points. So I think that your concerns are legitimate. The Rockets have that one. There are 2 things that upset the Warriors: youthful enthusiasm and length. And the Rockets got a little bit of both.
Oh, yeah, big time.
So, maybe that's a bad matchup for them. You're a guy who watched Steve Kerr become the winningest coach in the history of this franchise, bring it to a place that it's never been before. become the winningest coach in the history of this franchise, and you still doubt the shit out of him. I understand. That's who you are. That's
well, here's the thing. That's just a real quick, just to add a caveat here. It's because of Steph, dude. Because like if you go back to the Olympics last year with those Jason Tatum minutes, I dug into the database of 2018, dude. This is how far back I go. In the Western Conference Finals, when the Warriors and the Rockets played a grueling 7-game series that shouldn't have gone 7 games in the first place, I went back into those box scores because I wanted to make sure my memory was correct that far back in terms of the lunacy of the lineups. And this is why I guess I just don't have faith in Kerr like a lot of people do. JaVale McGee, who was
the 4 championships, has proven nothing. He's still on week 1 probation.
Because look, for 4 championships doesn't impress me like a lot of people. We grew up with 11 from Phil. Greg Popovich got 5. Pat Riley got 5.
All right, okay, so I might end this live stream. If your 4 championships doesn't impress me, guy, I don't know if we can talk anymore.
As a head coach, Stephen Curry, that impresses the shit out of me. Steve Kerr, I mean, look, we just saw how owners view coaches this last month. They don't value
this league is right now.
They don't care about coaches, man.
Wonderful.
Owners don't care about coaches. We just saw what happened to Mike Malone. We saw what happened to Taylor Jenkins. The biggest power of a head coach are the minutes he gives to the players he plays, by far. So, and if a coach is screwing that up, that's where I'm going to look at it. Something. The Warriors had Kevin Durant to go along with Klay, Steph, and Dre. 2 of those 4 championships were with that. That's why I'm not that impressed, brother. It's you look at the last 5 now going on 6 years.
How many championships has Kevin Durant won without the Golden State Warriors?
Well, again, that's a testament to Steph, to me, far more than Steve Kerr. I mean, Steve Kerr also did not impress KD. KD did not give a shit about Steve Kerr, the head coach.
Right. It's almost like one guy doesn't know what real leadership is, and one guy walks away from it. And Kevin Durant doesn't know how to be around a quality father figure who knows the right way to do it, right? I mean, like, don't put that on Kerr. Like, if Steve Kerr wasn't impressed with Kevin, or Kevin Durant wasn't impressed with Steve Kerr, like, that's another flaw in Kevin Durant's legacy, isn't it?
But it doesn't help that Steve Kerr couldn't appease one of his biggest superstars and convince him to stay. I mean, that's not exactly a positive on the resume either. I'm not blaming him, but I'm not saying that's a necessarily a green check mark either. All I'm saying is going back to 2018 to those Western Conference Finals, this is a team that had JaVale McGee on their bench. This is a team that had Zaza Pachulia, granted at the tail end of his career, but he was on the bench. David West was on the bench. And you look at the minutes in that series, and the reason why that series went to 7 games instead of being over in 5 or 6 like it should have is because Steve Kerr kept giving minutes to Nick Young and Quinn Cook over those bigs. Clint Capella and PJ Tucker were eating the Warriors alive. Andre Iguodala, when he got hurt, that really screwed things up. That's where you would have expected going back to 2018.
Wait. You're complaining about postseason series that the Warriors won?
Barely. In the same way that I'm not going to sit here and pretend Steve Kerr is why why Team USA beat Serbia in the Olympics. That was all Steph. Are you going to give Steve Kerr credit for that game? For that semifinal game? My point is Stephen Curry has made Steve Kerr look damn good.
Right.
And his rotation
every single superstar has made his head coach look good. You know how much Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal make Phil Jordan or Phil Jackson look a little bit more, he knows more than he really does. Michael Jordan made Phil Jackson's reputation a pretty decent thing. Hakeem Olajuwon made Rudy Tomjanovich a champion, not the other way around. I'm not here to tell you that Rudy T couldn't coach before or after he met Hakeem. I just think that your direct correlation with, that Steve is the problem borders on fucking insanity.
Well, again, you're not answering any of the nuance I'm presenting. You're giving me like whataboutisms, like in response, he makes life harder than it should be, and he lucks the fuck out with a lot of these series.
A lot of reasons, you would imagine. Like, Steve's not there trying to lose games his way,
but he's obtuse about it.
Reason to why he thinks it's going to happen this way, and going small. Not to quickly go back through my mental Rolodex, going small and playing smaller guys in this postseason series that they won anyways, is kind of their style and what they do. And I'm going to tell you right now that JaVale McGee nor Zaza Pachulia was really like a boatload of assured these are going to be great minutes from them at that point in their careers.
Better than Quinn Cook and Swaggy P.
Well,
who weren't doing anything that series either.
Nick Young was a little bit of an adventure. But look at it this way. What are you upset about? A series the Warriors won in 2018, the Houston Rockets, or last night's rotation? Like, what are you upset?
I'm upset. I'm glad you asked that. I'm glad you asked that.
Best fucking coach this franchise has ever had, who his most important players believe he is, the man who sets the tone for the entire organization.
Until they leave. And then you never hear anybody giving him praise afterwards. But my point is, the entire reason why I care so much is because of Steph. Because I care about Stephen Curry's legacy. He's such a good player. He's such a once-in-a-generation player that anything less than 5 championships on his resume, when all said and done, to me, will be a crime. It's also why...
That's insane. What? You know how hard it is to win a NBA championship? One NBA championship is a great career. You won an NBA championship. Congratulations. Now you've won 2. Now you've won 3. This guy's won 4 now. And that's not enough. You think that the Warriors have wasted Steph Curry's fucking career?
I think if Kobe Bryant finished with 4 and not 5, that would be a disappointment. I think if Jordan finished with 5 and not 6, that would be a disappointment.
What do with any of this?
Because we're talking about legacy. Because we're talking about when we're old men talking about the all-time greats, Stephen Curry deserves a higher place in the conversation than where he's at now.
Who are you talking with? Who are you having this verbal debate with in your old manhood?
Why do we talk about sports? Period. I mean, this is the line of questioning you're going down. So why are we even why are we doing this right now? Because this is sports. Because we have fun talking about it. Because we shoot the shit and discuss who the all-time greats are, man.
Right. Like, well, here's the thing. I don't care if Kobe's got more championships than Steph Curry does.
I do.
Steph Curry is the more significant player in the history of basketball than Kobe Bryant. Full stop. Not to be debated. There's not one more title that Kobe has that changes that. Kobe Bryant is a really great player in NBA history. Steph Curry is an evolutionary step in the history of the global sport.
I think you and I will agree to disagree then on the value of championships. To me, the goal, it's like the ultimate end destination is a chip. Like, that is the goal of competition, man. It's sports. If you don't win the championship, if you ain't first, you're last. Invoking the great Ricky Bobby.
So you understand we're laughing at Ricky Bobby that whole movie. We're not agreeing with him.
I know. But again, this is where I appreciate greatness, brother, and Stephen Curry is greatness, but winning a championship is the true symbolism of that greatness. And to me,
4 times, and you need a 5th before
you need a 5th. Look, it's the same reason if you're a LeBron fan, and those guys are more on side note who think he's better than Jordan in the all-time discussion, but Jordan's 6 chips. That is the difference, ultimately. 6 finals MVPs. It does matter. And to me, as much as Steve Kerr, I give him credit for helping Steph get over the hump with that first chip. No doubt about that, man. But again, we just saw 3 head coaches with a championship on the resume get fired. And I'm looking at Steve Kerr, not the first 5 years when those teams were stacked to no end. I mean, do not pretend Steve Kerr is why those KD teams won championships. I'm looking at the last 5 years where they've underperformed a lot. They've missed 3 of the last 5 playoffs, and they're still in danger of missing a 4th. So that's why.
I mean, I feel that you're really, really upset that Jonathan Kuminga hasn't developed as a player, and you want to hold it all against Steve. It's all Steve's fault.
No, that's all right.
Kuminga,
what I'm saying is that
maybe Kuminga too. Maybe there's something about him that they, Steve is more familiar with his roster than you and I will ever be. And he isn't trying to keep better players out of the game just because he wants to do it his way and prove something. I don't think Steve is working from the I have something to prove here.
Do you know that for sure, man? He does come off as a prideful, stubborn son of a bitch sometimes, dude. I mean, are you sure about that?
Well, I mean, what coach doesn't have those tendencies about them? They're all pretty prideful and they're all pretty stubborn. And I would not use son of a bitch to describe Steve. He's one of the most affable, easy to talk to, even in bad moments, just polite Boy Scouts I've ever dealt with in the history of covering sports or interviews or anything. I mean,
he's a media savant, Damon. That's never been the question here. My question is his head coaching and the decisions he makes with personnel. I don't think he's the right coach for a 2-timeline approach. This is where he's failed. He was tasked with a 2-timeline approach. You can criticize ownership for deciding to do that. That's what they did. And Steve Kerr has not adapted. Brandon Podziemski could be the exception to that. After 10 years, he might be the first player who has ever developed properly under Steve Kerr, to be determined. We've only seen a 2-week sample size where it's been consistent. But again, that's just my take on it, man. And I'm really worried. Damon. And I'm not attacking Steve Kerr as a person. This is him as a head coach. And I'm really worried that this Warriors team right now, I am confident they can win the championship. I guarantee it if we don't see that 3-person lineup out there. That is their kryptonite, Damon. And
the Warriors are not going to be winning an NBA championship this year, or probably any other year of Steph Curry's career. These things do run out. It's probably not going to happen. So just prepare yourself for that. I mean,
I don't know why you feel that way right now. The Warriors are one of the best teams in the NBA at this point. Who do you think is going to beat them in the postseason?
Any team that is smaller, younger, or doesn't experience the single injury that could absolutely throw the Warriors right out the door. I mean, the Warriors, it's all held on by the smallest of threads.
Well, and Steph, or which player are you looking at specifically?
Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green. I mean, I'll tell you, the single best thing about that blowout win last night over the Suns is that Curry, Draymond, and Jimmy all played under 26 minutes. I'm going to tell you right now, I would rather those guys be healthy and rested going into the postseason than any seed bothers me.
That's true.
I mean, I'd almost rather get to the play-in tournament with them rested than to go into the postseason tired. You know, I mean,
here's why the play-in concerns me. I do think that's a game changer for the Warriors. It's like, in terms of making the playoffs versus the play-in, for the simple reason you're adding 2 games to the schedule for a team that, you're right, their 3 best players are 37, 35, 35. But maybe more importantly than that, you get a week off if you make the playoffs. This team, I mean, you saw how recharged Stephen Curry was, just missing 2 games because of that tailbone injury. He came back with a vengeance, man. They won 4 straight road games when he came back. And a week off, game changer, massive difference maker for this team. I don't know if the Warriors have a shot if they're playing, dude. I'm fairly confident saying that.
I mean, the less gas that they have to burn at any point in time here, the better position they're going to be in. But I don't think it's going to be like Steve played Gary Payton II, and that's why they're not an NBA Finals team. Like, here's the thing about Gary Payton II. There are times when you put him in a game and you could tell, like, oh, it's his night. He's going to have himself a night.
Fair.
And you leave him in there. I thought he has played some of his best basketball of his career since the Jimmy Butler trade.
Fair.
But on nights where he isn't giving you that, I'd love to see Steve go into another direction faster.
Well, again, I'm not.
I would have loved to have seen Steve given Jonathan Kuminga 30 minutes a night over the last 3 years. But for whatever reason, that did not happen. And they sort of tied themselves. The single biggest 2-timeline mistake that maybe the Warriors have made isn't even the James Wiseman draft pick at this point. It's they've got Jonathan Kuminga, and yet they still couldn't figure out exactly who he was, how he fit, what to do with him, how to develop him while winning now, and all of those things. So he's just been in this gray area his entire career, and he remains there. And you can see his clear talent, but clearly Draymond Green, Steve Kerr, Steph Curry, and maybe even Jimmy Butler is in this meeting now, are going to make the decision on this guy. Are we seriously going forward with him? Because they should have probably traded Jonathan Kuminga 2 years ago for the veteran high IQ player that could have helped right now. You don't need a second scorer dropping 18 to 22 a night to play along with Steph as much as you need as many guys out here who know how to play as you can put on the court at the same time. Just know how to play basketball IQ shit. And there's no amount of young, athletic, raw talent that is more important to the Warriors' winning formula than basketball IQ and court savvy. And that's why Kuminga has always been a little bit of a funny piece to fit in the jigsaw puzzle.
If his IQ is in fact low, which I don't agree with. I don't think that's an issue at all. And again, Draymond and Steph, I don't know. We don't know in these meetings if they're going to Kerr saying what's going on with these minutes. I don't think that's their focus at all. I think they leave that to Kerr.
What if you knew? What if I could find out for you and tell you that the reason why this team doesn't trust Jonathan Kuminga is because Steph, Draymond have told Steve Kerr, yeah, a little less of that guy.
I'd never defend Kuminga again. Plain and simple. But the problem is with that rhetoric is Draymond and Steph publicly don't say that. All they do is give effusive praise for this kid.
Well, that's what you do.
Stephen Curry just a week and a half ago said, we're not winning a championship without him. So stop criticizing this kid. And the haters still do it, which makes me wonder, are you even a fan? Never mind the fact that it's literally pointless to criticize him at this point of the season. You can't trade him. Can't do a thing. All the Warriors are doing is playing for a chip. So, yeah, I would 100% back off. I would 100% wonder what's going on here if Steph and Dre, whose opinions I respect a hell of a lot more, came out and said, yeah, maybe this ain't it. They're not also going to say that publicly, but you would think that at least like they'd leak out maybe little hints. I mean, Steve Kerr does not have a filter over his mouth.
If you're Mike Dunleavy Jr. and you're making we got to make a big decision here, lots of money attached to Jonathan Kuminga. I mean, you're Mike Dunleavy Jr. You're not making that decision without having that Steph, Draymond, Jimmy, Butler, because those three guys knows who dogs are. Their dog detector is.
And I think that's why he's still here. I think that's why he hasn't gone anywhere. It's because this started back 3 years ago with Bob Myers. Like Myers in year 2 of Kuminga and Moody was expecting those two to be getting minutes and developing side by side with the veterans. And when that didn't happen, that's when Myers was like, I'm out. I mean, he publicly said, what is the point of getting a big if your coach isn't going to play him? And then he bounced like a month later. So look, it's just, I just, my ultimate care, the only reason why I have emotions attached to this has nothing to do with Kuminga. The Kuminga part of this, I'm not going to die on a hill with. But the Stephen Curry getting 5 championships, cementing his legacy among the all-time greats, that's the hill I am fighting on.
Curry needs not another accolade attached to his resume.
You say that, but that's not going to sway the public. That's not going to
Cyrus, you need to understand how absolutely uninformed, stupid fucking group of complainers the public is.
You're right.
Their opinion of this will not matter at all to the people who actually know what's going on. I don't need the approval of the know-nothings to know that I know something, and what I know is true, and what they believe is false.
You're right. No disagreement there.
Steph Curry, whether Kendrick Perkins likes it or not, who the fuck cares? You know, like
all I'm saying is, Damon, you're the same thing you just said right now. You could have said about Steph before he won the 4th championship, but there were a lot of people doubting him.
Here's the thing. A lot of people said, well, it is him taking the hand of Kevin Durant, and Kevin Durant is more responsible. The minute Steph Curry beat Boston without Durant and he was named finals MVP, that was it. There's nothing left to even discuss.
Well, I mean, five. Look,
and then in France, what he did in that gold medal game is as big of a career moment and that is the 5th championship, Cyrus. That is the 5th title. It's just that one's called a gold medal.
Yeah.
Well, so I don't think you need to lose another fraction of sleep or worry
I'm not losing
about
sleep.
Steph Curry's legacy. No, I'm not
losing sleep, but I do care.
You don't need to worry about Steph Curry's legacy at all. He will go down as one of the single greatest athletes, not basketball players, athletes of our lifetime. In the small handful of the 10 greatest you saw with your own 2 eyes, he will be in that conversation for everybody.
You're absolutely right.
Don't like him.
I just want it to be like not even up for debate. That's where I'm at. I want Steph on Mount Rushmore, and he will get there with a 5th championship.
He'll never really get there. Because
he will
always be about size.
If he wins the championship, and by the way, size, that's my entire argument here. GP2, Podziemski, Steph together. Why? That's 3/5 of your lineup on the court is as an average height of 6'3". Make that make sense. That's all I'm saying. I'm not attacking GP2. I'm attacking GP2 with Podziemski and Steph on the court together. That does not work. Please don't do that ever again, Steve. That's my argument here. But the Stephen Curry part of it, I do think he goes on Mount Rushmore if he gets a 5th championship. He's certainly known as the greatest point guard ever. Right now, that is up for discussion between him and Magic. I think if he gets a 5th championship, there's no more debate there, I think. I think the stakes are high, Damon, is what I'm trying to say. I'm just fighting for Steph.
I mean, here's the thing.
Maybe I'm wasting energy. But
he's at the end of the debate, the taller guy, like if you want to know who the single greatest basketball player all time would have been if you would put Steph Curry's brain in Kevin Durant's body.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. Or even LeBron. Even LeBron would.
Or LeBron's body. But specifically, just Durant, who's been pulling up for threes since Texas, where he, LeBron developed that 3 late in his career. That's the greatest basketball player of all time. But look, there's, when you're having that all-time debate, there's this guy named Kareem Abdul-Jabbar that people conveniently forget to leave out of the conversation so they can put their Final Four up there. And I don't know. It's going to be nearly impossible for a guy who is 6'3" to go down as an all-time anything in a sport where height and rebounding matter.
Exactly. That's why, again, Damon, I just feel like you're feeding into why I care so much. With all that said, if Steph wins a 5th championship, he now is, despite all those deficiencies you mentioned. That's why the stakes are so high, at least from my perspective. It's also why Stephen Curry himself has publicly said that a 5th championship is the only thing he still cares about. It's important. And again, if the plausibility of it wasn't so high, you look at the NBA landscape this year, it's prime. The Warriors can do it. You're right. Health is vitally important, but you look at this landscape, the Nuggets, who matchup-wise might be the biggest obstacle for the Golden State Warriors, are now at their weakest point in recent history. The moment is ripe for the Golden State Warriors to take advantage and win a 5th championship in the Stephen Curry era. That's, to me, what the stakes are, and I think they're going to do it. I effing guarantee it, Damon, if Kerr makes the right decisions and if they're healthy.
Guaranteeing a championship here today on April 9th.
Oh, I did it last week. But yeah, with us together, Warriors Weekly, this is the proclamation. Just none of that 3-person lineup. That is my caveat, sir. Sorry.
Show me the betting slip.
I put my money where my mouth is. I'm glad you said that. That's a huge reason why I gamble, is because I like to put my money where my mouth is, man. For all the people that talk shit, I always tell them, actually gamble on it. I literally publish my betting slips, dude. I won people money with Underdog Fantasy when they were sponsoring Golden Days, and I'll bet on that. That's a good take. I will put money on that, sir, and I'll win some money.
Yeah, I will. I look at the Warriors right now. I don't see a group of underperformers. I see a group of overperformers. I see guys who are playing about as good as they can, maybe even a little bit better than they are. And then the reality of the NBA's postseason is going to be a little bit of a rough awakening for them. We'll see. We'll see.
Who do you think? Who do you think will, Damon? Who do you think could beat the Warriors? Like, who are the biggest threats to them in the Western Conference, at least? Like who are you looking at and thinking to yourself, I don't know if the Warriors can beat this team?
Well, the Warriors, the Nuggets, the Lakers. I could see the Clippers becoming a problem, depending on who's healthy.
Yes. Clippers scare the shit out of me, dude. Yes.
The Grizzlies are just there, and you never know what you're going to get out of them. I don't think that they could beat the Warriors in a 7-game series, but maybe. I mean, that's the thing. I look at the Warriors and I see a lot of potential. I also see a ton of vulnerability. Now you can attach that to every single team.
Exactly.
Here. I think maybe there's only one team where you look at it and you're like, well, that's pretty fucking well built. We've walked around the entire car. There is no dings in the Boston Celtics. The Celtics should repeat easily.
In theory,
the Celtics should repeat easily. If they
the Warriors would beat them if they would actually be a good matchup for the Warriors. I got the odds in front of us in terms of the favorites to win the championship, because I like what you did there in terms of challenging me to put my money where my mouth is. I like that. I will do that. The Golden State Warriors right now have the 5th highest odds of winning the championship, Damien. OKC is
shit. Put a missile on it.
Well, here are the odds. OKC plus 156. They're the favorites. Boston is second at plus 210. Cleveland plus 560. The LA Lakers plus 1263. And then the Warriors are fifth plus 1269.
By the way, so
I will put
the best bet on the board for the team that you get and the odds that you're playing with in all those is Cleveland.
I don't think Cleveland has what it takes. And side note, those odds brought to you by MyBookie, a proud sponsor of Golden Days. Use the promo code MM50, MyBookie. And here's the thing with Cleveland. When I look at the postseason, Damon, I'd love to know your thoughts on this. For me, it comes down to who your top dog is and who's going to be taking that final shot when the game's on the line, right? The playoffs are all about pressure. Bob Myers had this infamous speech some years ago, I think at MIT. He used to be an annual speaker there for some conference, and he brought up the fact that in the postseason, the space between an offensive and defensive player narrows, right? Everything gets more physical. Everything gets more tight. The space that players usually enjoy for three-point shots is no longer there. Three-point shots aren't falling as much as they used to. It's a lot about grit, and it's a lot about the players who rise when the pressure is felt the most. And it's also a huge reason why Steph Curry I value tremendously. With all that said, the Cleveland Cavaliers, I don't think Donovan Mitchell's that guy, dude. Like, he's had a lot of postseason experience when he was with the Utah Jazz and now with Cleveland. And him as the guy taking the shot, him as the guy who you have to rely on to make 3-4 buckets in a row to come back. I don't know if that's him, man. That worries me about Cleveland. And they also played in the East. You know, the Eastern Conference is such a joke that any 60-win team there is probably a 50-win team in the West. With all that said about Cleveland, your thoughts?
I mean, Phil Mickelson never won the Masters until he did.
True.
You know, and that's the way I look at, Donovan Mitchell. There's been an awful lot of on-the-job failure in training, but that team this year has been a monster. Yeah. And I just like their versatility. They can get out and run with you. They can play in half-court sets. They're good. They're good, and they're defense first, and that makes them dangerous.
Yeah.
So, if Donovan Mitchell has to be the follow me, I know the way, all by myself guy, yeah, you're probably in a little bit of trouble. But if all he has to do is wear beige and blend into a team that's actually freaking, everything's working here tonight, the Cavaliers are one of those. It ain't one of them, it's all of them.
And who's the one guy? But who's the one guy when it matters most? Well, and there's only one guy that can shoot it, right? I mean, who's that guy? And for Cleveland, it's Donovan Mitchell. I don't know if I trust that. Like with Boston, Jason Tatum, they have two of them, Tatum and Brown. Either of those guys can take over. The Warriors have two of them now with Steph and Jimmy Butler. Side note, Jimmy Butler against the Celtics, that's a huge reason why I like the Warriors odds in that series. But you look at Cleveland, I don't know. I just don't, at this point, I don't see it. But either way, let me just say, I don't know what you're doing for lunch today, but head yourself over to Ike's if you're around. Damn it, I'm hungry now. I'm starving now.
Get a sandwich. I
want that.
You're worried about the Warriors. Go ahead and eat your pain away. Something that overweight people do all the time. Not that you're overweight, but eat your pain away with the Warriors. Get a celebratory sandwich. Go to Ike's, eat it Ike's. And by the way.
And by the way, a side note, I'm actually doing okay weight-wise.
Hold on. The Dubliner and West Portal. Let me just get that in real quick. Right. Best Guinness in the city. Go get yourself a Dubliner West Portal Guinness. Say hi to Kenny for me. Say hi to John, and go there to watch your Warrior games, your NBA drafts, your NBA playoffs that are coming up, Giants games. Dubliner West Portal. There you go. Those are my guys.
Well, I want to just give love back to Ike's, the best sandwich in the Bay Area, in my humble opinion, a symbol, if you will, of Damon Bruce's greatness, because you actually have a damn sandwich there named after you. The ultimate honor to me, it's having a sandwich named after you and having a bobblehead made in your image and likeness. That to me is what represents greatness in this world. The fact you have a sandwich named after you.
I've never been.
And look, Damon, I pride myself on my weight. I've had chubby moments in life. I think I'm doing okay right now. I've had moments of athletic prowess. And with all that said, I care about what I eat, and I love Ike's sandwich. I will put that stuff in my body, and I will relish it. I'll cherish it, and I'll be happy afterwards. So
there you go. Do it. Get yourself signed up for the Love Rewards program. Start eating yourself towards free sandwiches, chips, drinks, all those good things. It is insane. If you're going a little crazy watching basketball right now and you're a fan of the Warriors, the Nuggets, the Clippers, or the Grizzlies, you're probably feeling the heat because, again, every single one of those teams is 47-32. You got the Timberwolves back a game at 46-33. You got the Lakers one game up on that entire pack at 48-31. And it is just jumbled in the middle of the Western Conference. And it feels like, even though Oklahoma City has certainly separated itself from the pack, nobody really looks at them as oh yeah, they're going to run away with everything. So it's wide open. And
a huge reason for that is all the best teams in the West, or all the elite teams besides OKC, have routinely beat them. The Lakers just beat them. The Warriors won 2 out of 3 against them this season. That third game, they barely lost. They were leading most of it. Stephen Curry didn't play in that game, side note. I think they lost that game by 4 total. Look, OKC is beatable, Damon. And I think the biggest reason why the Warriors aren't afraid of them is because OKC plays small ball. They play the very style that the Warriors have mastered. I'm never going to be afraid of another team that is trying to copy what the Warriors have already laid the blueprint for. So they're beatable, Damon, is what I'm trying to say.
Again, I like the fact that a lot of guys got light workloads ahead of this back-to-back.
Yeah.
Which, hey, if the Warriors come out and are, on their very best, on the balls of their feet, playing well for 3 quarters tonight, that should be all it takes to beat San Antonio at home.
Oh, yeah. Last time they played, the Warriors won by 42. By the way, I got to give some love to my sponsors real fast here, dude, Damon.
Yeah.
I got a new one. I don't know if you'll appreciate this or not. It is a band. They're called Decades. And they could play at your local wedding, your corporate event. They could play, anniversaries, fundraisers, birthdays, or even just a good old-fashioned backyard rager. They play all music: Chuck Berry, Katy Perry, everything from the 50s to today. They're a local band. They're Golden Dazers. They love the Warriors. They also love the Niners, so much and so, in fact, they played an event for Eddie D, Uncle Eddie Sr., who was the owner for 5 Super Bowl championships, and they're the official band for every 49ers rally at all their home games. So check them out. Email. Where's the email? Kyle@atomicmusicgroup.com. Again, Kyle@atomicmusicgroup.com, or check out decadesofficial.com and visit Humboldt. Check out visithumboldt.com. Awesome tourist destination for the Bay Area. If you're looking for something to do, outdoor paradise, and check out visithumboldt.com for all the information there. Back to the program.
I love it. We got Weed County.
Yeah.
Weed County. We got bands. We got sandwiches. We got bars. This is a one-stop shop show for everyone who needs it. For the Warriors to keep going along in this positive direction, I even saw somebody in the chat already bring up saying, I'm just watching Jimmy Butler's points per game, and those seem to be trending down. And Jimmy isn't quite that second scorer that the Warriors need. Well, that's the thing. The Warriors don't really need that second scorer. They need a facilitator out there that makes the collective better defensively and better equipped to make offensive decisions. And that's where Jimmy's value is. It's, in a weird way, Jimmy Butler is to Warriors offense what Draymond Green is to Warriors defense. A lot of the value add can't be found in a box score statistic. It's the choice that was made 2 cuts before the screen, before the pass that set things up. There was a video of Draymond Green setting up the final switch of the possession 3 switches away from the final switch of the possession. And that's where Draymond's genius is. Like, he is 2 plays ahead of you. He's 2 passes in front of your point guard, and he is the switch. He's refusing to take the bait on the first or second switch because he knows it's the third switch that is going to be the shot.
Yes, sir.
And it's just that's kind of what Jimmy is offensively. He's not stuffing the stat sheet, but he's making all of those choices that just make all the pieces fit together. And that is where I think Jimmy's real value is. Now, you want to talk about the guy who might be the second I'm going to score tonight guy? Is this what Brandon Podziemski's becoming? Is this
this is why he was a first-round pick. Sorry to interrupt, but this is why he was a first-round pick.
This guy's averaged 16.6 rebounds and 3 assists in his last 20 games. He's gotten 30 or more minutes in 13 of those 20 games. Steve, team ramp up is absolutely ramping Brandon Podziemski up to have a major role in this postseason, a major role. And when you talk about did the Warriors win that 7-game series or not against anybody, it's how are the guys who haven't been on this team very long gonna participate? How are they gonna play on the road in the postseason? This is where I love Quentin Post, but I'm worried about postseason Quentin Post. You should be too. Quentin Post is
worry about it when you see it not happen. That's what first of all,
idea what's coming. He's got
Brandon Podziemski.
Idea what's coming.
Brandon Podziemski, this is what happens when you actually play someone. He's getting minutes. Steve Kerr let him play through the mistakes. There were a lot of these games where he played 30-plus minutes, and you look at the stat line, it's like 8 points. It's like 0 of 5 from 3. Steve Kerr gave him minutes over and over, and this is what happens. This is what young players need. And bravo. He's playing phenomenal ball. He shot 43.8% from deep his 1 year at Santa Clara, his second year, his final year in college, and we're seeing that clip now. Damon, his numbers, if you have the game log in front of you, if not, I'll pull it up. But his numbers, I think he's shooting over 70% from 3 in April. I know it's only like a 5 or 6 game sample size, and that includes an Ofer game. He is on fire from 3. The wrist is flicking at a level that was not there earlier this season. It looks natural. It's awesome to see, man. And I don't know what else to say.
I got a guy here named Ray Endman saying Pods is a bust.
Ray hates Pods.
Regular season stats. Well, Ray, if you look at his regular season stats, you're looking at a 23-year-old, 22-year-old guy who's shooting 44% and producing pretty well. And you can't declare him a bust when he is playing a significant role on a team that is one of the better teams in all of basketball as we speak right now. I mean, where you started is one thing, but where you are is another with this guy, as it is with all young players. And I'm going to tell you right now, trying to declare somebody a bust who is producing like this at the young age he is when he hasn't even played 140 games in the league is insane. Dude, Brandon Podziemski is a guy right now that if the Warriors put him on the open market, you would have teams fighting to trade for him.
Ray is a golden dazer who I've advised repeatedly that this is not a hill you should die on. Brandon Podziemski, I get the complaints throughout most of the season because, again, Steve Kerr just kept giving him minutes. And a lot of those minutes for most of the season were not great. But this is how you develop young players. You play them. And he's figuring it out. The shot's starting to fall. You can cherry pick certain things about his game still. Like, for example, his lateral foot speed defensively leaves a lot to be desired. And he is 6'4". Let's not kid ourselves here. Height, size matters in basketball. And which is part of the reason why the 3-guard lineups where Podziemski is one of the 3 guards becomes a liability. But with all that said, dude, I mean, you can't rip him at this point. He's playing.
This? The Warriors got enough problems. Brandon Podziemski on top of it right now means you haven't been paying attention to the last 4 weeks of Warriors basketball.
This is just take a look at his last 6 games, just from the 3-point line. Podziemski, the last 6 games, going in order, starting with last night: 4 of 6 from deep, 4 of 9 from deep, 4 of 8 from deep, 8 of 10 from deep. He had the one anomaly, 0 of 4, that was in Memphis. And then at San Antonio, where they last won by 42 points, and who they're hosting tonight, he was 7 of 9 from deep. That is absurd.
Ray says he's lost so many games. He's totally inconsistent. Well, inconsistency is the hallmark of the young NBA player. Becoming consistent is the difference to whether or not you get that second contract, the third contract or not. Like that's the difference between guys who make it in this league and become career NBA players or guys who wash out after, deciding this is too big for them. I'm going to tell you right now, Brandon Podziemski is going to have, if healthy, a 12-year-long NBA career.
Oh, yeah. He's going to be around for a long time. And again, I look at the Warriors 5 years from now because some people just want to look at now, and that's healthy, staying in the present. But in terms of, an NBA team, you'd like to look ahead and plan ahead. And you look at the Warriors 5 years from now, where a lineup of Podziemski, Moody, Kuminga, Guy Santos, Quinton Post, Trace Jackson Davis off the bench. And that's just off the top of my head. I mean, who knows who they're going to add, who they're going to draft, free agents. I mean, 5 years from now, I think the Warriors are still going to be very relevant and very good.
Hey, especially if they go ahead and try to make a trade for Nikola Jokic. We'll get to that in just a second, because what's going on with the freaking Denver Nuggets is just it's kind of amazing. We'll take a look at what's happening there. But look, there are some people who are still literally worried about 2018 postseason series that the Warriors won.
Well, the same coach, same track record. It does bear some relevancy, I think.
Well, I mean,
again, look at who was getting minutes, man. Brad Wanamaker, Mike Mulder, Corey Joseph. Just this past season, Lindy Waters III was getting minutes over Moses Moody.
Anthony Lamb is the human token of all of your player frustration, right?
Ty Jerome, who this year had a decent year, but don't pretend the last 3 years, the entire NBA career did not happen. I mean, this season, yeah, he's playing decent ball for Cleveland. It's stacked, deep Cleveland team where he has no responsibility except just to shoot the ball, but he was an absolute hole on this team in 2022. Yeah, Kerr has made a lot of personnel decisions that leave me befuddled, and I just don't like someone in his position with that much power and influence, never mind all the privilege he's had most of his life, making $18 million a year, to making routine decisions that leave me dumbfounded. I just want to make sense of things. I don't think I'm asking for much. And those types of players I just listed make no damn sense getting serious minutes.
I just think he's got to play what he's got. And he's got a lot of guys on this roster that he gets more out of than most coaches would.
Like who?
Well, basically,
who has he gotten more out of? That I'm curious. That I don't know if I agree with that.
Gary Payton II.
A player who Kerr tried to cut, side note, in 2021, 2022. Let's not forget about that.
They did. They got rid of him. They got
rid of him. He cleared waivers and came back. Yes. So,
again, they're sort of tied to what they got because this is what they got. So you got to you got to play who you have on your roster. I don't think this is the best built roster over the last few years. That's for sure. We all know that. But again, I don't look at the Warriors as massive failures. There was a big fork in the road moment. That moment, unfortunately, was dotted with James Wiseman, who was a galactic failure. And then, unfortunately, Jonathan Kuminga has become this, just a gray area where you see an awful lot of the talent. You also see an awful lot of the reasons why they might not bring him back at the big price point.
And my whole thing is those reasons that make you think, okay, I don't know about this guy. You could have said those exact things, the same things about Podziemski this season until about a month ago.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, because he's available. Do you think the Golden State Warriors have a better chance of winning this NBA title if they fired Steve Kerr today and had Mike Malone installed for tip-off tonight?
Yes.
You do?
Yes.
You realize that Mike Malone was let go in Denver because of all the on-court horrific strategic decisions that all Denver Nuggets insiders are saying, well, if you're on the outside, I understand why this looks funny to you. But if you've been here, you realize what an absolute garbage in-game coach Mike Malone is.
Is he? I mean, what's the evidence? I need to hear what the specific evidence is of that. I mean, again, there's so much nuance to everything. My nuance is on the Warriors. I pay attention to every single minute of every game. And a lot of things stick out to me that just don't make sense. I don't pay attention to the Nuggets in the same manner. So I need to know what specifically. But I will say this. Mike Malone was griping this previous offseason leading into the season, so back in 2024, about this roster, more specifically, the team's decision to not re-sign Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. And that is, I think, a huge reason why this fissure emerged. Because Mike Malone over the last two seasons watched the Nuggets decide, we don't need you, to Bruce Brown, to one of the Greens. There's so many Greens in the NBA. I forgot which one, but it was a Jalen Green, Gerald Green. They said no to him. They said no to Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, and Mike Malone got pissed about that. And I don't blame him, man. But I don't know what the nuance was in terms of rotations or players who should have or should not have played. My entire gripe with Curry, again, is just minute distribution. Wrong players played routinely at the wrong times. If Mike Malone was doing that as well, then I understand the gripe, but I never saw it personally.
We're talking about the winningest head coach in team history.
In Warriors history, yes. With Stephen Curry. It is almost like an insult to Steph that you think Steve Kerr is that responsible for this. I don't think so. I think Stephen Curry is that great that he's the reason why this is a dynasty. That's just me.
I wonder, it would have been interesting to have a, parallel alternate universe path and seen what Mark Jackson would have done had he remained the coach. Because I think that there's an argument that without Steve Kerr, they win no titles.
That's also fair. I'm not pushing back on that. I'll give Kerr credit forever for championship number one. I'm not going to pretend the Kevin Durant years were a Steve Kerr production. That was a one of the most stacked teams ever. All right. The 2016-73 win season. Don't forget Kerr was out for that 24-0 run with Luke Walton running the show. I mean, look, he put together a phenomenal system. I give him credit for helping Steph and company go over the top. The two timeline thing in recent history, the last 5-6 years, has not been his cup of tea. That's if you disagree, you disagree. That's okay.
Anyways, no, the two timeline thing was an organizational. You can look back at it now and say that was a huge mistake.
Was it though? I mean, you don't like it?
No, they should have absolutely traded James Wiseman's draft rights for a veteran player that would have been the guy to come in and help. Who is that guy? Again, I don't have his name.
But Damon, what if I told you that my sources told me that Bob Myers tried to do that? He tried to trade down. He tried to trade that pick. Nobody wanted it.
Then he probably should have taken LaMelo Ball.
Yeah, but that's fair.
We know this all after the fact. So I'm not holding anybody's feet to the fire for the aging process and that draft decision that happens. It doesn't bother.
But check this out. I mean, the two timeline thing, people rip it, and it sounds like you don't like it either. But if you're the Warriors, on paper, it made perfect sense. You have the number 2 pick. What if you had traded up to number 1, which was an option, by the way? And this is one of the many reasons why I am critical of Kerr, because Kerr is the one who quashed the idea of trading up for Anthony Edwards. If the Warriors had done that trade was on the table. Minnesota wanted their 2021 first-round pick back from the Warriors. That pick became Jonathan Kuminga. If the Warriors had made that trade and suddenly Anthony Edwards is on your team, in addition to whatever other young pieces you add, nobody's criticizing the two timeline thing at this point. The Wiseman pick was very poor. No one's disputing that in hindsight.
I mean, had that early pick resulted in a real NBA player,
let's say LaMelo. Yes.
Then your two timeline thing fits an awful lot better. But unfortunately, the Warriors chose the path of the two timeline and then didn't stack it with enough young talent to really give birth to a second timeline.
Correct. And again, and that's part of look, coaching, being in power in the NBA, you have a lot of responsibilities. And one of them is managing assets, right? And maybe this is more of a front office thing. But again, I bring Kerr into this because he has decided to become more involved in the last 5 years with front office decisions, with personnel decisions, whereas the first 5 years, he was very much in the background, just letting the team make those decisions. Like Steve Kerr was not traveling with Bob Myers and Lacob in previous years to interview draft picks like he was with Anthony Edwards. Now, granted, the Warriors didn't have a number 2 pick either, so I kind of understand it. But the Kerr part of this in terms of that side is one of the many reasons why I'm frustrated, because look, the Warriors in consecutive years had the number 2 pick in a very weak draft, but the following year you had the 7 and 14 picks in one of the deepest drafts in NBA history. And if on your resume you have a number 2 pick and a number 7 pick in back-to-back years and you have nothing to show for that, that's a stain, man. That is poor asset management.
You're the biggest Jonathan Kuminga fan. You're calling Jonathan Kuminga nothing?
Well, I'm saying he's underutilized. I'm saying you had a number 7 pick in the 2021 draft and you're still not playing him. Like something went wrong there. And why is Kerr absolved from that is all I'm saying. He's played a part in this mess up, man. Either play the kid and find out what he is, because none of us know still at this point. All I know for certain is that when he averages over 30 minutes a game, Damon, which has happened 40 times in his career, he puts up 20.8 points per game. He puts up 6 rebounds per game, and he shoots over 40% from 3 in those 40 games where he's played 30 or more minutes.
Right.
Every time with my eyeballs, I see him play.
What's his weak side help defense in those games?
Kerr himself is one of the best defenders.
How many points is he allowing because he wasn't in the right spot defensively and Draymond's yelling at him 3/4 court way down the court where he needs to be?
Have you ever seen Draymond yell at Kuminga on the court for that? I've never have.
Well,
I mean, I've never seen that.
Maybe he needs to. Maybe they're afraid to yell at him because Kuminga's kind of soft.
No, I've never. Again,
what Steph was insinuating, and when they had to go and win that play-in game up in Sacramento, he basically said, "Jonathan Kuminga, quit your fucking pouting and do whatever the coach tells you to do."
It could have also been directed at Jordan Poole. That could have been directed at Jordan Poole as well. That was 2 years ago. Side note. Since then, look. I just don't understand the purpose here of playing him the way they have. Like what are you doing here? You mentioned this repeatedly, and I agree. It's a gray area. Like, why is Kerr absolved from this muddled gray area? Like, this is his mess. This is why I criticize him. You had a number 2 and a number 7 pick in consecutive drafts, and what do you have to show for it? Why is Kerr absolved from that? That's my gripe here, man.
Well, I don't think anyone's absolved. I just think that you have enough track record to where, when you make a mistake, you don't need to get fired like Mike. This is what I don't understand about Mike Malone. Again, Mike Malone is the winningest head coach in the history of the Denver Nuggets. He is the only head coach to ever hang a banner in a gym that the Denver Nuggets play in. He is the only coach that Nikola Jokic has ever had in his career. You would have think
that's crazy.
That's crazy. Must have Jokic had to have been cool with this in some way. Or
have you heard anything about that?
Be a guy who's going to turn around and say, "I want out of here."
Have you heard anything about that yet? Like, has there been any attributions credited to Jokic in terms of like his response? I haven't heard anything about that. No, I'm very curious to know what his thoughts are.
I mean, Jokic has always been a wildly guarded media guy, so I don't think you're going to get much out of him anyway.
Yeah.
But
would love to know.
Look,
because you're right, man. The only coach of his whole career. That's crazy.
It is tied for the latest in an NBA season that a head coach has ever been fired, according to ESPN research.
I have that answer. I know who the answer is.
I do too. Yes.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry, I won't spoil it.
What if I told you that this player? No, it's a Hubie Brown. I tried to go Hubie there.
No, I was gonna sit and listen to that, dude. I don't think that's an easy impersonation either. So if you could pull that off, more power to you, dude. It's a great Hubie, bro.
If you want to use your Hubie, you go to your whatever Bernie Sanders you got in you.
Larry David
and Bernie Sanders both talk very staccato, very, very, very short, punchy sentences. This is what it is. We're going to pronounce a lot of, and so that's what I got. Anyway,
good job. That's fantastic, dude. Excuse me. That is very good.
So Jokic.
Kudos. I'm guessing, have you practiced that, or is that just a natural thing that comes out?
That's just, I never even tried that before.
Bravo. That is very impressive.
But, I mean, the Nuggets can try to spin this however they want. And, the same way that you were like, yeah, I would have Steve Kerr escorted out of the building and I would have Mike Malone coach the rest of the way. That's what terrible teams do. Is it though? Yes, Cyrus, at this point in the year, yes, it's insane. What the Nuggets have just done is as insane and is detrimental to winning as what the Mavericks did trading Luka away.
Ooh, those are different levels, dude. Come on. I can't compare a player to a coach.
It's about the same because here's the deal. There's no such thing as we are going to restructure this organization to be better for the postseason in the remaining 12 quarters of the year. That's what they got. 3 games left, and they're going to have an organizational overhaul that will get them more prepared to win in this postseason. That's insane. You can't make that argument. It's crazy. The 2025 postseason now should be the last of Denver's concerns, and only making sure that Nikola Jokic doesn't become the first Euro to be like, get me the fuck out of here. I'm done. I'm done with this organization. They have broken my trust. They've broken my faith. And I'm going to tell you right now, there is nothing about Jokic in his body language or his demeanor that makes me think that he is romantically attached to the Denver Nuggets in any way. As great as a basketball player he is, that guy's just working. Like this is his job. He just happens to be better at anybody whose true passion it is along with their jobs. But this is how Jokic feeds the horses back in Slovenia or wherever the fuck he's from. And
I actually don't know off the top of my head. I think you're right.
Slovakia, I think.
But anyway, I don't know. All I know is they breed tough dudes there, man.
They do, and they're freaking huge, and they don't mess around. And I'm wondering if this is going to be a guy who's going to now like play I can opt out in 2 years. He can opt out as a player in 2 years, which means, with his MVP caliber performances. Again, Mike Malone has turned this guy into an automatic MVP, basically, where you got to make arguments for other people because it would just be so easy to give it to Jokic every single year. What the Denver Nuggets just did is insane. I don't care what the concern was over an in-game rotation or strategy or X's and O's or whatever. Unless Mike Malone was just caught fingering a secretary, this should not have happened.
The timing of it to me is what the most egregious. Like, I'm not going to sit here and defend firing coaches this late in the season. I'm not defending that. A lot of what we're saying here back and forth, especially with Kerr, we're saying in a frivolous manner. Like, in reality, no, I'm not sitting here in seriousness.
By the way, here we are
advocating
Serbia.
Is it Serbia?
Serbia. Yes.
Okay.
It is.
But Damon, I feel like the blueprint or the everything's been laid out here for Jokic to go to the Lakers. Luka's there. Do not be surprised if Jokic follows him there. Those two are already friendly, and you're going to have two. You have senior and junior baby Huey running the Lakers.
How could we possibly make the Luka trade worse? Well, there's only one way, and it just developed. I bet you he would have come to Dallas. I bet you Jokic in I don't want to be in Denver anymore would have absolutely loved going to Dallas more than he would have loved going to LA, because the last thing Luka wants is a Lakers level of attention all around him and the media demands and the spotlight. He avoids and doesn't like all of it. Luka Doncic could have absolutely gotten Nikola Jokic to have joined him in Dallas. And oh, by the way, speaking of in Dallas, that's where Luka's going to be for the very first time tonight with the Lakers. He returns to Dallas, and look at what you get, Cyrus. You get that. That's what you get. If you are a Dallas Mavericks fan, that's what you get. Luka Doncic returns to Dallas on Wednesday night, and the Mavericks are giving away T-shirts ahead of their matchup that say, "Thanks for everything" in Slovenian. That's what it says. Thanks for everything in Slovenian. So you don't get Luka Doncic, you get a T-shirt. Every single one of those shirts should be brought outside the American Airlines Center, put in a pile, doused with kerosene, lit on fire, with a hanging effigy of Nico Harrison above it, saying Luka needs to play better defense.
Dom Peralta in the chat. Luka does Dallas. Very well put.
It's insane to think that not only could you have had Luka Doncic forever, but Luka probably could have gotten you Jokic too.
It is insane.
That is.
Damon, the one thing we're not mentioning here, which I think is what's really happening in the NBA, is owners control everything and they call all the shots, for better or worse. Everyone else is just a puppet in a show, man. And the owners are pulling the strings. And my guess is what happened here with Mike Malone. This is just my theory, but this is based off, again, observing this game and the sport. And you and I both are behind the scenes for a lot of stuff. So we see some things. My guess is Kroenke's son, I think, is the guy running the show for the Nuggets, right? The Kroenkes have like a lot of...
It's not Stan anymore. It's the kid.
It's the kid, right? Yeah. So, but the family, like, they're an insanely powerful family. Like, they own a lot of teams. I think they own the Avalanche. They own the Rams. And they win, right? So they're a winning family. They're doing something right. My guess is that the son and Mike Malone had a conversation, and the son was probably like, "Look, you and Calvin clearly don't get along. He's making decisions because we're telling him this is what he can and can't do because this is the money we're giving him. We weren't going to give him the money for Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. And are you going to play nice?" And my guess is Mike Malone said, "Fuck you" to him, I'm starting to do that more. I need to stop. I'm sorry. Less F-bombs on the show, I promise. But he probably said F you to him. I'm calling the shots here. I'm the coach. I want a championship. And owners don't want to hear that. And he was like, you're out. That is my guess for what really happened here. I think that's the guess for what happened in Dallas with Luka, where the Adelsons, the Adelmans, whatever they're horrible family. Side note. I mean, just do your research on the Adelsons to get an idea of what's really going down in Dallas. Like my guess is a similar conversation happened where in some manner they were like, Luka, you're a tubby piece of shit, man. You got to lose like 25, 30 pounds here if we're going to give you close to $500 million of our money. And Luka probably just said, I'll think about it as he drank a beer and had a cigarette, and they traded his ass. And again, if you're a multi-billionaire, you don't give a shit about anything. So you don't care if fans hate you. You don't care about public reaction. You're sheltered in an ivory castle somewhere, not hearing any of this. This is the reality of the NBA. I don't like it. I don't think anyone should like it. I much respect the structure.
Well, you know who spoke to this? Steve Kerr.
Yeah,
Steve Kerr last night, when asked about it, he's like, look, this is a league of billionaires who want what they want the minute that they want it.
Yep.
And the ramifications of that decision really don't seem to be as much of a concern as just, here is my decision.
Correct.
It's almost, in a weird way, it's almost like upheaving a global economy to just start putting tariffs on everything because you feel it's the right thing to do. Do you have any math to back this up, or are you going to run this experiment in real time for the first time ever?
I try not to touch politics, but I will say this. That formula you're referring to, I saw it. It's not a real formula.
That's not real.
It's not real.
That's making shit up.
And side note, as someone who is literally an academic, I'm a professor. I publish research articles myself. It's all across the aisle, man. Like there's so much incompetency at every level. You have no idea how many professors have written academic articles with jargon that is so hard to read just to make themselves sound smart.
Oh,
that is a true story.
Look, I'm telling you, half of going to law school is to prepare a document that is difficult for normal people to read.
That is by design, dude.
By design. It's literally
crazy, but true.
It's the equivalent of the secret handshake that either lets you in the club or doesn't.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah, you're 100% right. And this tariff thing's another example. It's just here's a formula that we're following. A what? What's this symbol? What's going on here?
Anyway. Big game against the Spurs tonight. You know, I think I'm going to stick around post-game, maybe even do a little live stream courtside just to talk about what we saw against really, it's a cream puff opponent, and the Warriors should handle business. The Warriors.
What are you saying? You're going to join me tonight for post-game? Are we doing a dual stream?
I don't think I'm going to be joining anyone. I'm just going to maybe do my own little live stream.
All right.
And
sorry, Your Highness, I didn't realize you're too big time for Golden Days as a guest appearance. Why don't we do a dual stream, man?
I'm gonna be on my phone, and I don't know if I can join you on my phone in that live. I don't know how to do it, so I'm just gonna press go live and go live.
The only reason, Damon, I've actually had the idea because Ryan Leong, who you know well, he joins this program a lot live from Chase Center as our inside correspondent, and he has an awesome setup, man. Like he sits in the media center, puts the computer up, so the background is Chase Center. It's a great setup, man, and he brings a lot to the table. The downside is that you can never rely on the internet in that arena. So if it's working, great. But if it's not, you're just screwed. There's nothing you could do. And that's why I don't go do shows there myself. Otherwise, I would, man. If there was
I don't know if I'd be any how about this? I don't know if I'm going to benefit my own channel trying to do a show from there. Much less
Why not, though? Why not try it?
We'll give it a shot. We'll see.
Have fun, dude.
Anyway, that is this is it. This is the final home stretch. 3 games remain. 3 games remain. It's San Antonio, Portland, at Portland, and then the Clippers.
Correct.
On Sunday. So we are done with basketball's regular season come Sunday night, and then we'll know whether or not the Warriors got out of or slipped into the play-in tournament, which will be a week. And then it's postseason basketball. Just by the way, lands in Japan. Postseason basketball will begin.
the regular season will end Sunday at approximately 3 p.m. The NBA does this by design, where every game starts at the same time. I think it's 12:30 p.m. Pacific time, and so they start and end all at the same time. So no one's looking at us doing scoreboard watching or playing depending on what another team does. The Warriors will play the Clippers Sunday. That could be a massively huge game. Trice High, a great NBA filmmaker, was on the show with me last night, and we actually did a very specific breakdown of every team's remaining 3 games on the schedule, and like what could realistically happen here, right? Like for example, the Minnesota Timberwolves have a crazy game coming up against Memphis. The Grizzlies have 3 games remaining. 2 of those are against teams they're fighting with, Minnesota and the Nuggets. The Clippers have a ridiculously easy stretch remaining. So do the Warriors. So we did the math, and the way the math came out is the Warriors were going to finish as the 5 seed and the Nuggets were going to finish as the 4 seed, or was it the Clippers? My point is, it could be a brutal first round matchup, dude. I don't want to see the Nuggets. Are there any teams you do want to see? Do you have preferences for ideal first round opponents?
It's so funny. Is it disrespectful to say that the Warriors' best first round opponent might have been OKC?
No. I think Memphis would be easier, but no. I don't think it's disrespectful either. I think that's just the West for you.
Yeah, the Warriors are going to have a coin flip's chance against anybody. The more size they got, the less the coin flip is going to end up the way the Warriors want it, I would imagine. That's just the way I'm looking at it. They still don't want anything to do with the Nuggets, even as
no.
Even as goofy as the Nuggets are right now.
Even with Adelman's kid running the show there now.
I will say this, though. You know what I'm doing? Whoever gets the Nuggets in the first round, I'm giving Mike Malone a 10-day contract. I'm giving Mike Malone I'm giving a 10-day coaching contract to come and help me beat the team that just told you to go take a powder, Mike. How do you like that?
Just give him a freelance contract. Don't even put a date on it. Just say, Mike, you don't even have to show up to the office. Just answer all our questions. Let us know what the strategy is. We'll give you a cool million. What do you think?
Let us know. Let us know. What type of pony could we give Jokic that would make him throw this?
Oh,
you love the pony, man.
It is crazy. That part of it, I'm very curious. I haven't heard anybody give a clear answer on this yet in terms of like what Jokic wanted. Like, did Jokic actually want Mike Malone fired? I imagine his preference would have been respected here. I think that's the whole thing's crazy, dude. You're right.
It is so weird. It is so weird. Again, there's the only way it makes sense, even with all like the insider. Well, there were a lot of complaints about strategy and X's and O's and blah, 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 blah. Well, you know, those complaints didn't matter just a couple of years ago when you're winning shit.
Yeah.
You know, did Mike Malone become a worse basketball coach in the last 2 years?
No, and I think ultimately it was like he publicly blasted the GM. Like, and look, when you're publicly blasting your front office, I think the ownership's going to take some offense to that, because chances are Calvin Booth is just a proxy for the owners. So when you're publicly blasting front office decisions, in some ways you might be directly publicly blasting the very folks who are paying your mortgage, everything. Like they're your life source. So
don't bite the hand that feeds you.
Exactly. That's my guess here. I could be wrong, but again, you live long enough, you start to figure some things out. And with the NBA, this is what I'm seeing here is you have coaches who have a lot of pride themselves, and Mike Malone has accomplished a lot. Maybe he deserves some of the bluster that he's pulling here, but the owners are the ones in charge. And the reality is, if you piss an owner off, this could happen, man. The Taylor Jenkins thing was also fascinating as well. A little more predictable because they got rid of all of his assistants just last year. You could have seen the writing was on the wall there, but the timing's still fascinating, right? I mean, I don't understand the good of doing it this late in the season. That part's wild. That part is absolutely wild. I'll give you that.
Did you see that John Morant has changed up his shooter gun celebration to now throwing grenades?
He's an idiot, dude. Like, really, what are you doing? Just dumb.
Like, just keep the main thing the main thing. Just play basketball, dude.
Just get a lesson on decorum, dude. Like the guy clearly needs like a mentor or a tutor, somebody who just kind of sits down with them for a few hours a week to teach them how normal civilization functions.
There are a lot of on-court celebrations that have nothing to do with weapons.
Yes,
that you can choose from.
Exactly. It's
like
dumb.
You can break out the disco whip if you wanted to. Disco whip's available. Just throwing that out there.
Remember when Draymond did that one thing where he's like looking at somebody, and he's like mouthing something that you can't tell, and he's like doing these weird little like these almost gang symbol thing. Dre's done some funny shit over the years.
How, dude? Did you see that Luka got ejected last night because his second technical? He got a tech earlier in the game, and then in the fourth quarter, he's jawing with a fan courtside, and the ref thought that Luka was coming at him. All I know is that the referees have proven themselves to be so bad on a nightly basis. I don't believe that they should be in charge of the decision whether or not a superstar is thrown out of a game tonight or not. I think there used to be a world where they could accurately legislate that and make that decision, but that world doesn't exist anymore. Joey Crawford ain't around anymore.
NBA officiating
ain't around anymore, and there is a new generation of officials who not only are bad at what they do, but then seem to have an agenda as well. And it's just what a weird group NBA officials really are.
Well, and they're an incompetent group at that. It's just the ineptness of them on a consistent basis. It's just
a hard sport to officiate. I'll give them that much. Your job ain't easy, but it's like you go out of your way to make it harder than it really is. By the way, you want to know another thing that I want to just let's, in the name of speeding shit up, can we do away with the first review announcement? We're going to the tape to review whether or not the player had possession of the ball.
We're in college, you mean?
Anywhere, just
because the NBA they don't do that often, but
go and fucking look at it and then tell me what you do. Just that's the thing. Just get this process over with as fast as possible, and we don't need two announcements. Just tell us what happened. That's it.
Yes, sir.
That's it. Just speed it up. Speed it up.
And understand who the superstars are. Like the Stephen Curry treatment is so asinine.
Have you heard Jimmy Butler?
I did.
You know what Jimmy Butler said?
I played it.
Man, I've been in this league for a really long time. I ain't necessarily in that guy's universe, but I'm a star too. And I get a better whistle than Steph Curry. He's like, Curry's got the worst whistle in this league, which is something I've been saying for a decade. Did worst whistle in the league.
Did you also hear what one of your former colleagues in the radio business said the other day, where he explained that the reason why Stephen Curry doesn't get the superstar whistle is because Draymond Green counterbalances that. Because Draymond causes so much havoc, they have to make up for that by giving Stephen Curry unpreferential treatment, if that's a word. Okay, so that's absurd. It is. It is. And this person gets paid handsomely for it. If there's in radio, maybe we can take the word handsome out of it, that this person just gets paid. But hey, getting paid is a good thing. Go get paid, everybody. I have no problem with anybody getting paid. But Steph Curry getting chopped in half on a layup where Draymond's not even on the court has nothing to do whether or not he got that call or not. I mean, it's just that has nothing to do with it. Nothing to do with it. So I'm going to say no to that. I'm all about getting paid. I'll add to that. Earn it, though. Okay, so if you're getting paid to talk, earn it with some astute observations, not. But, people can be wrong, too. I don't know who said it. I don't care. Are you ready for a little history lesson to wrap up? You're so nice on that topic, David. Yes, I'm absolutely ready for you, sir. I'm not nice on many topics. What topic? I know, but on that one, you're just so you're treading lightly. No, I'm just saying, just freaking, how about this? I have seen people do better with careers where they're trying to be wrong and therefore garner so much attention that, it's the noisiest, the squeakiest wheel in the room gets the grease, I guess. Yes, sir. Like when I think about, Damon, what could you have done differently in your career? Maybe I should have been
actively more of a hot take artist who is very comfortable about being wrong about anything if it just meant you're leaning in and listening to me. But that's just not who I am. Like, I got to look at myself in the mirror every morning when I'm shaving, and I just don't want to be the guy who's making shit up just so you listen. It's just not who I am.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm never been about the clickbait stuff, which some people have mastered. Correct.
Okay. Today in 1865, we got ourselves Appomattox. We got a full-on surrender from these Confederate fucks. Robert E. Lee surrendered at Appomattox today in 1865, the end of the Civil War. Nice job, everybody. Another kind of big
north,
day
yes.
in America. Yeah, nice job on the north side, everybody.
The South, you guys, that was a little much. You took a little too far there, buddy. Took a little too far, you guys. Just
Why don't all you guys calm down? Okay.
Yeah, that escalated quickly. Let's just chill, folks, and let's not do a war here.
Big days in the 1800s. Again, 1865, we get a surrender at Appomattox. Today, in 1867, the Alaska Purchase, right? Wasn't that Seward's Folly or whatever that was? We bought Alaska from Russia for $7.2 million.
Thanks, Russia.
This was a really good idea at the time. And it's been a good idea ever since. So congratulations. I've always wanted to go to Alaska. I heard it's beautiful. I heard it's awesome.
I want to do a road trip up there. That's my goal, to actually drive up there and back. It would be fun. It sounds fun. Bring the dog. Stop at all these small Canadian towns on the way. Go explore some national parks. Sounds fun. Stop in Humboldt on the way.
You got Humboldt. There you stop in Humboldt. Absolutely. Today, in 1959, NASA gave us our first ballot astronaut Hall of Famers as they announced the Mercury 7. We're talking Scott Carpenter, Gordon Cooper, John Glenn, Gus Grissom, Wally Sircha, Alan Shepard, Donald Slayton. These are when astronauts were real men.
Heroes.
Yeah,
heroes.
Yes, those guys. Think about it. Think about the balls. So what we're going to do is we're going to strap you into a seat on top of a silo filled with the most explosive gasoline in the history of explosive. And what we're going to do is we're going to shoot you into outer space. Since this is the first time we're ever doing that, no guarantees. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know if you're going to get back. We don't know if this thing's going to blow up. We got no idea. Are you in? And these guys were like, yeah, we're in.
The getting back part to me is even crazier than the going up. Like, you're bringing these people back through the atmosphere, and you got to deal with atmospheric burn. Like, it's insanity, man. The whole thing is crazy to me. Like, space. Us going up there. Congratulations, humanity. Bravo.
Did you ever watch the movie Space Camp?
Long ass time ago. That's like an 80s film, right? Yeah. Yes.
Good movie. Space
Great
Camp.
movie. Great movie. That's an underrated one, man. I haven't even heard a reference to Space Camp in like 30 years. Good reference. Folks, if you have kids out there especially, I feel like that's a good one to sit down and watch with. Space Camp.
Space Camp. It was a good one.
It was a good one. Agreed. Strongly agreed.
See, what else do we got? How about this? Happy birthday, I guess, to the Astrodome, because today in 1965, the Astrodome opened for its very first baseball game. It was an exhibition game between the Astros and the Yankees, and Houston won 2-1. So there you go. First game ever at the Astrodome today in 1965.
I called that area home once upon a time for 2 years.
Did you like living in Texas, Cyrus?
No, not at all. I was a professor at the University of Houston, and so I did watch that title game with a little extra interest. You were in
the Final Four.
They were in the Final Four in the championship, yeah. And I did not like I don't recommend it. Look, if you love the humidity, if you don't mind living in a place where like environmental concerns are at zero, like, you know, if a chemical plant wants to open up next door to you, they're going to open up next door to you. If you're cool with those kinds of things in the world around you, then Texas might be for you. But the heat was a bit much, and the lack of environmental concern. Like I actually like clean water. That's important to me. So, so it was good to come back home to California. I'll say that.
What a lib. Look at you. Wanting clean water. So
I didn't like Austin either. I went to Austin a lot. I had friends who lived there, and I'd go visit. I wasn't a fan. Austin is like the trendiest. Have you been there? Like it's trendy.
I will say this, that outside of the city of Paris, Austin did more to live up to its word of mouth reputation of any other city I've ever been to. Like everyone told me Austin was awesome. And the 2 times I've been there, I thought it was awesome. I had a great time. I loved Austin.
It's more California than California I feel like it's ever been.
It is very California-y. It is.
I mean, granted, I feel like most of the populace there are former Californians who have migrated. But yes, like my mom came to visit one time when I was living in Texas, and she was like, "I'm going to meet you in Austin. Let's skip the Houston thing." I'm like, "All right, fair enough." So I go meet her in Austin. Her and my stepdad, and my mom is very picky, she's very snobbish when it comes to food, and rightfully so. She's a former culinary chef, and she like when she was praising the food, when she said she can go to a restaurant in Texas and ask, for example, for something organic, and they're like, yes, she was blown away and impressed by that. So I don't know if you could do that in Houston, but in Austin, it is California and Texas.
It is the closest you can get.
And you got the live music, right? Which is almost constantly playing on what the dirty third. Yeah.
I've been to the new Austin city limits too, that they built, not the old one that used to be on the UT campus, but they've now built a standalone Austin city limits. If you ever have a chance to go see anyone that you might like there, go to it. What a cool room that is. Very, very cool.
Been there, done that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good scene.
By the way, Iceman coming in with a super later saying, happy birthday, year unknown, to Alfred Thaddeus Crane Pennyworth, the best and baddest butler ever. Oh, is that today's the day that is the fictional celebratory birthday of Alfred the Butler from Batman?
I didn't know that. April 9th. All right.
I didn't know that either.
I mean, he could be 50 years old. He could be 150 years old. We don't know, but happy birthday to Alfred. An interesting character. Do you have a favorite Alfred of all the Batman movies?
Ooh. Not really. I mean, I never considered Alfred that big of a character in the thing. Actually, you know who the best Alfred in any Batman movie might be? Is the one in the Lego Batman movie.
Who voiced it?
It's a big British actor who ended up voicing him.
Because we have Michael Caine. We have the guy in the Michael Keaton Batman movie. I have no idea who that is, but he was like the most stoic
old dude. Yeah,
really old dude. Yeah, whoever that was. You have Jeremy Irons. Is that his name? In the Ben Affleck Batman movies, I think he was the butler, the Alfred.
I'm just going Lego Batman Alfred, and all I'm getting is a whole bunch of who were you can buy the actual Lego Batman outfit. Ralph Fiennes is the guy.
There you go.
The voice.
There you go. I mean, Will Arnett is phenomenal as the voice of Batman in the Lego Batman. I mean, he's
really good. He's really good.
Yeah. He is.
By the way, I agree with you. The best Butler movie with a Butler is Arthur, without a doubt. Without a doubt. Who was that? John Gielgud played Alfred, and I think he was. I don't know if he won an Oscar, but I think he was nominated for Best Supporting Actor in the movie Arthur. Sir John Gielgud. I'll have to look that up.
And Ralph Fiennes, by the way, currently dating Chelsea Handler, I believe, in the random out of left field piece of information news.
Really? Okay. I didn't have that one on the bingo card.
No, I don't think anyone did.
Congratulations. When we do our Today in History, we normally don't get into movies because I don't want to get stuck there. I want more historical things. But since this is a sports movie, and since I know it's going to be popular with everyone in the chat, happy birthday. Today in 1993, the movie The Sandlot came out.
Oh, bro.
I know that is, what is it? Wendy Pfefferkorn? Is that?
That's who that is? Wait, hold on. The girl, the lifeguard, it's her birthday or she died? What happened?
No. It's the day that The Sandlot came out.
So you just brought her up just because you thought of.
I hope she's still alive. But yeah, The Sandlot is a big movie. If you are, 35 to 40-ish years old, The Sandlot might be your favorite baseball kids movie.
Even 45, I think you were still young enough. Yeah, and they made a sequel, which I never watched for good reason.
You can't bottle that.
You can't. But by the way, even real fast before we go,
Morgan Freeman was a good Alfred, but Morgan Freeman's a good everything. He
was an Alfred. He was like a weird, because Michael Caine was the Alfred. Morgan Freeman was that scientist guy.
Oh, you're right. You are right. He wasn't his Alfred,
but he played that role, what's the actor who played that Batman? Christian Bale. He almost had two Alfreds. He had the Michael Caine, and then he had Morgan Freeman. That matters. Any of that matters. Damon, before we go, Draymond Green, is he Defensive Player of the Year? Because I'm hearing some people justifiably saying he deserves it, which I wholeheartedly agree with. Then you have some people saying that he has not played at an elite level long enough this season to warrant winning the award. Meaning the Draymond Green that we saw in November, December was not the Defensive Player of the Year we're seeing now. To which I say, go F yourself. He more than deserves it. Evan Mobley cannot guard 1 through 5.
Morgan Freeman was Lucius Fox. That was the name of the character.
There you go. Okay. But what are your thoughts on Draymond getting Defensive Player of the Year? Because I don't want him to lose that award. I think he deserves at least 2 of those over the course of his career. I'm also not saying he should win it this year because of his resume. He deserves it. What are your thoughts?
It's a vibe, right? You want to, Draymond Green, I don't know if ever is going to be the stat compiler for Defensive Player of the Year. So you have to ask yourself, what is this guy doing? How versatile is he? Is it all measurable? Is he at the centerpiece of this turnaround, which took the Warriors from a team that really didn't matter into one that absolutely certainly does? I don't think Draymond, this is a little bit of that's not fair, but really, I don't think Draymond should be measured over the totality of an entire season more than his impact should be acknowledged now. And I think that the man's impact is a Defensive Player of the Year level impact. And, I guess the argument would be, well, what would the Warriors be if he were like this throughout the entirety of the year? Okay, I guess so. But this guy has been, banging the defensive drum for a decade in this league. And it's hard to be that guy every single night. And I would give it to him. I got no problem. How about that? I got no problem with him winning it. And if he doesn't get it, I think I'll know why. Because it's the entirety of the year and the Warriors, no one, how about this? Until Jimmy Butler trade happened, nobody was talking about Draymond for this. Then it felt like everybody started leaning in, watching, and then everyone realized, oh, okay, he should be in this conversation.
I hate the fact that the awards are dictated by who's trending. That to me is why the award thing is such bullshit.
Man. By the way, it's Sports Talk, we're not doing it. With top 5 sports movies of all time. Thank you for the super chat, but that's another 3-hour show if we start.
I can quickly drop 5 names. Can you? Do you want me to go first? I can probably bring them up.
Number 1 is Hoosiers.
Just automatically. Okay. All right.
Number 1, Hoosiers. Number 2, The Natural.
I don't have it ordered. What's up?
The Natural. Hoosiers, The Natural, Major League, Slap Shot. And then it's it might be like A League of Their Own.
That's a good one. Where do comedies play into this? Because there's so many.
I got Major League and Slapshot in there, so obviously they count for me.
But then, is semi-pro because is that worthy of consideration?
That's now you're way too making shit up. And first of all, semi-pro is not a top. It's not even a top 5 Will Ferrell movie.
Okay, fair.
Top spot 5.
Fair. Well, we're talking sports movies. All right, then what about serious movies? What about Kingpin?
Again, we're blurring the line of sports movie here.
Bowling's a sport. What about
bowling, but
Caddyshack?
Not a sports movie, even though it takes place at a golf. That's just a comedy that's a comedy on a golf course more than it is.
Interesting. Okay. All right. So okay. All right.
How about Miracle?
Well, that's a great movie. Yeah, obviously. Her books.
Is Chariots of Fire a sports movie?
I've never seen it to this day. I've heard great things. Is it a good movie?
Fire won the Oscar for Best Picture of the Year, and it's all about Roger Bannister breaking the 4-minute mile, right? Or the 2-minute mile, whatever it is, whatever the mile record was. Sporticus 2 days in a row wants to bring up Let It Ride, which is technically about horse racing. Remember the Titans? That's a good one.
That is a good one.
We opened up the freaking
Pandora's box. Yeah.
What is give me your top 5.
I think I listed everything that I value. The only other sports movie I should mention that I absolutely love. Oh, Byron Knox mentioning Rudy. That's a really good one. And I know you may scoff at this. You may scoff at this. Very funny movie. Highly recommended, though. Goon. You ever seen it?
Goon? No, I don't even know what that is.
Stifler, the guy who plays Stifler in the American Pie films. He plays a hockey goon.
Okay.
If you haven't seen it, let me know what you think. It is one of my favorite movies ever. I absolutely love it.
You want a really good random? It's not funny. It's not a comedy. It's a movie about it's a fish out of water story. It's about being an English as a second language Dominican player in a minor league system in Iowa, and it's called Sugar.
Intrigued?
Really interesting. It's really interesting.
I mean, Hoop Streams is one of those that's on the documentary side that people rave about.
Yeah. Hoop Dreams is amazing. I mean, Roger Ebert called it the best documentary he had ever watched, and he pretty much watched them all. So,
Kill Switch 80s, R6, I'm sorry, Dodgeball. See, like, where does Dodgeball rank for you? Because that is a sports movie, kinda. ESPN the Ocho.
Let me ask you this. Have you ever bought a ticket to a dodgeball tournament?
Has there ever even been a dodgeball tournament?
That's why it's probably not a sports
No, obviously not.
True, I don't think so. I don't think dodgeball quite qualifies.
42 is a great one, by the way. Chardal, good job with that. Waterboy, great one from Ray Enderman. That's a sports movie.
I got to be honest. Yeah, Brian's song absolutely should be there. Brian's song's great. Bad News Bears, great movie.
Fantastic. Cinderella Man's a good one too. Rocky, all the Rocky films. Man, Rocky 4 pumps me up every time.
It's funny. I love sports. I love movies. Not a real big fan of sports movies.
Interesting. Happy Gilmore, another one. Ooh.
Again, I guess that's a sports movie. I mean, it's funny. You do almost have to separate comedies to have a real adult conversation here.
Fair.
The Blind Side.
That's a good one, even though the guy later on sued the family, and I guess
there's a lot. There's a lot of white savioring that goes on. I'm just not. As I was watching that movie, I was like, I don't know.
What's the guys at Orlando Brown? Was that his name? The old lineman who is now claiming that the family ripped them off. I guess.
I forgot the Tui family. That was their name, Tui.
I forgot his name too. Oh, Creed's another good one. We talked about Rocky though. That's all part of the family. Karate Kid, Angels in the outfield. I'm not going to put among the greatest.
And the rookie, that's also bad. Just bad.
That's a kid movie. Jerry Maguire is a good one. Moneyball. That's a great one, dude. I can't believe we didn't mention that.
Again,
Michael Orr.
That was his name. Very, very good. Raging Bull. Sure. Yeah. I mean, what's one of them?
God,
there's a lot of good movies.
Yeah, there's a lot of good ones. Yeah.
We'll have to do this another time. In the meantime, thanks to everyone for watching. Really do appreciate it. Make sure you go over and subscribe over on Golden Days. If you're watching on the Plus, if you're watching on Golden Days, come on over to the Plus. Give a little like and subscribe over here too, please. In the meantime, thanks to our sponsors. Thanks to all of you.
Have fun tonight. You're going to the Spurs game.
I will. It should be a good time.
And join us tonight. We're back at this tonight with another post-game show immediately following the Warriors and the Spurs. There's only going to be 2 games left after that. I cannot believe this season's over. And the real season's about to begin, Damon. Warriors Weekly is going to get really interesting here in just a moment.
Absolutely, it will. Thank you so much for tuning in. Oh, by the way, it's also Gin and Tonic Day. So,
okay.
Just throwing that out there for those who might use that information. Let me give you that. Real quick. Hold on. I got my outro video.
When I hear gin, I always think of Always Sunny. One of my favorite shows ever, Always Sunny in Philadelphia. And they dedicated an episode to just gin, just the whole idea that there were gin drinkers, the idea of the drink itself. It's a weird alcohol, gin. I can't even. Yeah.
Are you a vodka or gin martini guy?
Neither. I'm a whiskey and more specifically a Scotch drinker, but that's just
there. You go. I like know who you are. So I am a brown liquor over clear liquor day guy any day of the week, but the choice between a gin martini and a vodka martini is no choice at all. Gin is the correct name. And mine. Anyway, there you go. And Otis, always great to see you. Little gin and juice. Absolutely. Just throw that out there just so we get it all out. And there we go. There's nothing left to say other than thank you so much for tuning in. Sports don't build character. They reveal it. And like that, they are gone.